MJ, thank you for joining me today on Pop Culture Unplugged.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
Exciting times, my friend. We have Hysteria on Peacock. First of all, I know you've been dropping interviews. I've been watching a few also, and what's been going on through your emotions right now? Like, what's been going on with this? We had the season that dropped last week. What's been going through your head?
I can't believe it. Like when I see my name come up first in the credits, like it's like mind-boggling to me. Never did I imagine that I'd have my like a show that I'm starring in. I'm just so blessed. I really cannot believe it. And I saw today that we're number 5 on the trending for Peacock. It's unbelievable. It really is.
And then when we get more episodes, hopefully you guys will bump up even more.
Yeah, hopefully.
So, we'll jump into the show in a few minutes, my friend. I was doing some research on you and everything. You started off young in the industry.
Yes, sir. I was 5 years old.
What made you fall in love with it?
Well, this is kind of a funny story, but I started it because I didn't want to go to school when I was like 8 years old. I started doing it because I was like, oh, I could do homeschooled. But then, when I actually got a job and worked on set, I just fell in love with it. You get to meet all these amazing people and, work on these crazy scenarios that you never get to do in real life. So that's definitely one of my favorite things about it. It's just like the people you meet and the crazy stuff you get to do.
What's been like one of your favorite projects you've worked on, other than Hysteria? Because I know you'll probably tell me Hysteria now.
Of course, of course. I would probably say Chef with John Favreau. That movie was
Yeah.
just such a blessing. John Favreau is such a great person. He taught me a lot about like, how to act and just like a bunch of little things. He taught me like how to be a professional actor, pretty much.
Yeah. Professional chef too. From what I see now, you love cooking.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I do cook now. Surprisingly, I couldn't
Yeah.
believe it. Before I was like, I can cook with cereal, but now I could actually cook.
Did you when you were when you said you fell in love with also with cooking, like did you like after the finished filming the movie, did you go out and like try to learn more about the craft, or what did you
It took about 6, 7 years because I was like 11. And my mom was
okay.
so good for me at the time, so I definitely
Yeah.
used that for as long as possible. But when I moved out and started living on my own, that's when I started cooking.
Yeah. What's the goal, my friend? And you've done a little bit of everything. What's the goal?
The goal is to let's think here. Probably buy an icon pass for snowboarding this season.
No dream role that you want to try to get your hands on?
No, I'm not too picky. Just anything that comes my way, I'm just more than happy to do. I love horror though. Horror is really fun. But I'd say one of the dreams is probably to work with like Tom Hanks or something like that, if he still
Mm,
works.
if, I think he's gonna work till the end. What do you think?
Yeah, probably. A guy like that is so good always.
Right. So let's jump into Hysteria then. Tell us a little about the process. How were you approached for the series? Was this just like an audition? Did you know somebody that you worked with? They told you, hey, we might have a role for you.
No, just super, super general audition, like all of them, except when I got the script, I was like, what is this about? Because I only got like one page of it or 2 pages.
Okay.
I was really curious about what it was about, because in the page it mentioned all the bands and everything, so I was really captivated right away. And then it was actually a super lengthy process. It took about 6 months for us to hear back,
Wow.
which is like really long. But yeah, and then we went to the chemistry read, and it just ended up going from there.
Mm. Tell us a little about Dylan. What was the description like when you first got your hands on that paper?
Well, I think the description for Dylan was kind of vague at first, because there's a lot of growth, so he definitely changes a lot. He's just an unpopular in the start, he's just an unpopular kid who plays his guitar. He's kind of a
Yeah.
nerd. And doesn't have any friends except for his two best friends, which is really all you need. But yeah, that's pretty basic character description, and it definitely arced into something a lot more.
Mm. What's like so after you started jumping onto the series and started filming and everything, you were going through the scripts, like how did you decide like you wanted to play this character?
I mean, the music was such an
Yeah.
part of it. I'm a big metalhead, so that was definitely something I was really excited about. But one thing I was pretty hesitant about is I had to learn the guitar for it, and I was just absolutely terrified of that because I had never touched a guitar in my life.
Mm.
And they gave me 3 weeks to learn Number of the Beast by Iron Maiden.
Wow.
That was a challenge.
Yeah. Now do you still play it?
Yeah, I do. I actually have the same guitar from episode 1.
Wow. So like I love how like you said the metalhead everything because I like I grew up in the 80s too, but I'm more of like I have two young kids. I always love playing them like Van Halen and stuff like that.
Nice, nice.
So what about you now for like it takes place in the 80s. How much did you know about that period? Or, like how did you kind of research did you do?
I actually knew a lot about the period. I've for some reason I've watched a bunch of videos on the 80s on that specific thing before I got the job. So
Okay.
I was pretty educated on it, luckily.
Mm. How would you describe the story of this series?
The story is it takes place during the 80s, the Satanic Panic.
Yeah.
And my character, Dylan Campbell's in a high school heavy metal band, and nobody pays attention to us until one day the star quarterback of the school, Ryan Hudson, he goes missing, and it's kind of a ritualistic kidnapping. So people
Yeah.
start to, give us attention because we're a heavy metal band, and that obviously means we're Satanists because it's the 80s.
Right.
So we end up
It's
just kind of going with it, and it turns out to be a lot more than we anticipated.
What's great about this series that I've enjoyed so far, it's like, you mentioned, it's got the little horror, then we got the little comedy in there too, and like supernatural elements. Like for you, what would you say was like the most exciting or challenging part about this show?
Well, the most challenging part was definitely being buried alive. That was real. They actually, got a coffin and they dug a hole in the ground and they shoved me in it.
Yeah.
That was terrifying. I was not acting at all right there.
Wow.
That was intense.
Yeah. What about for like an exciting moment in the series for you?
The concert stuff, all the performing stuff. I felt like a real musician, like up on the stage and like I have all these people who are like super pumped, and like it was a really cool experience for sure. I felt like a musician.
Mhm. You mentioned you were a metalhead and everything. Was there a specific song that you were excited about that you knew you were going to hear throughout the series?
Just a lot of Ozzy Osbourne, and Randy Rhoads. He's a huge inspiration of mine. He doesn't. There's not too much in the show. But my character has a shirt, that's
Okay.
like Randy Rhoads and Ozzy Osbourne. So that's pretty cool. And then I don't think they got too many Ozzy songs in there, but yeah.
Mm. Without, I don't want to talk too much about spoilers and everything without giving too much away. Can you tease anything bizarre about like the events that happen in this town and like challenges with like what I said with Dylan that he faces with his band?
Let me think about that. Without spoiling, nothing really comes to mind. I'm not very good at like the vague, like super. I'm not a
Yeah.
writer.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. How about working with Julie Bowen? I mean, you must have been excited when you heard that she was going to play your mother on the series.
I couldn't believe it because when I was 12 years old, Sofia Vergara actually played my mom in Chef. So now I've had two
Wow. I didn't even think about
Modern
that.
Family with my mom. So that's pretty cool. She's just such a legend, and it's the same thing with Bruce. Like working with someone like that, you just learn so much subconsciously just by being around them. It's really a blessing.
How would you describe like the relationship between Dylan and Linda in the storyline?
I think she's a great mom, and she's like any mom, like it's just like Ted Bundy's mom. She didn't want to believe that her son did anything bad until the very end and still didn't believe it. A mother just never wants to believe their son does wrong, so she's just a very sweet mother, very understanding, and ends up kind of, biting her in the butt.
Mm. You mentioned Bruce Campbell, he plays the chief in the series. Can you share any scenes that you enjoyed with him or moments or even like the tension between like the two figures with each other?
Yeah, one of my favorite scenes was the first one I did with him. It
Okay.
was the interview scene when after I get this is episode one, so I'm gonna spoil it. When after I get
Yeah.
arrested, episode one. Yeah, that was just such an honor. Like just the way he works is just it really is like you see why he's a pro, like you definitely see why he has this name for himself because he earned it.
Yeah. He's played in a lot of series and or movies like with this kind of like theme and everything. Any pointers to you about your character or about the series?
No, pretty much he just, he has like this little speech before we start acting, he's like, I wish I could remember it. It was so like good. He's just such a pro. He's like, if I mess up, do, we just kind of like bounce back and he just told me like, it's cool, man. We're just gonna do this, like we'll play off each other's energy. If you need anything from me, I'll give it to you, and vice versa, so that kind of stuff.
Mm. What do you think has been like your favorite like scene to shoot in the series and why?
Favorite scene to shoot? The church stuff at episode 8 was pretty cool, and also getting slapped in the face was pretty fun.
Can you tell us who slapped you or would that be a spoiler?
I'm gonna leave that one to ambiguity.
Yeah. What do you hope like the audience will take away from this series and both this from the series and from your role also?
Don't be a follower. That's definitely something that's really important. Make your own decisions and try not to be a Satanist.
Is there a specific episode that you can't wait for the viewers to watch?
I'm probably most excited for the finale. Like it's just there's so much that happens and it just all ties together so perfectly. It really is
Mm,
like it's like an art, seeing it all come together because there's so many like little subplots here and there, and then like by episode 8, just the way they all tie together is just it's beautiful. The
Yeah.
writer Matthew Scott Kane, he really is so talented, and it's hard to believe that this is his first show that's been picked up that he's written, because he's just
Yeah.
so amazing.
You mentioned the writer. If he could give you a piece of paper and a pencil or a pen and just say, write something you want to change about Dylan, is there anything you would change about him?
Hmm. I don't think so because his problems make for like good TV. You know what I mean? Like his stupidity is pretty entertaining. So I don't think there's anything I'd change unless it's like me as a person. Then I would probably change a lot of things about him. But from a TV show perspective, I definitely think it's perfect.
Amazing. Now, could you see this series keep going for a couple more
Oh, of
years?
course, absolutely. Yeah, I can't even wait to see what Matt would do with season 2. There's just so many possibilities. I would really like to see that.
Amazing. MJ, is there anything else that you got coming up that the viewers can know about or look out for that you got working on?
Not that I'm allowed to say, but it's going to come out in 2026, and I'm pretty excited for it.
Amazing. MJ, how can the viewers find you on social media and keep up with you for see what if you're posting about the series and everything?
I have an Instagram. It's MJ Anthony. It's EMJAY and then Anthony.
Amazing. MJ, I want to thank you for giving me today. This was great. Let's get you back on. Hopefully we'll see a season 2 and we continue on.
Thank you so much, Elias. I really appreciate you having me.
Amazing.